Hi folks, this is Tony at TravelScoot again. Today we're going to talk about clamp orientation on the TravelScoot. From time to time we have customers calling in because something won't clamp properly, be it the steering column, seat post, etc. I just want to go over how the clamps need to be installed and oriented on the TravelScoot. Let's start with the steering column. You can also see this on our specific video on steering column repair, also on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, TravelScoot USA, which you're on if you're seeing this, so what else is new? Anyway, this is the set screw for the steering column clamp. It is recessed in here quite deeply. If people just look in here casually, they'll think that something's actually missing. Let me hold up a steering tube clamp, and you can see that the set screw is actually recessed into this keyway here, or into this key, which engages this keyway to keep everything aligned. You want to make sure that that key and the keyway are aligned with the short slot at the top of this tube, and that your fixed steering column clamp is aligned with the slot on the bottom. If you turn your steering column or your handlebars 180 degrees, you'll see that on the back of this tube is the larger slot. This is how the clamp exerts its clamping force. If this thing gets flipped around, it's not going to exert as much clamping force on this smaller slot. Conversely, or equally so, if this clamp gets spun around to where this gap is on the back side, this also will not have as much clamping force on the lower steering tube. That's how you keep your front wheel and your handlebars in alignment. Let's go to the seat post. This is something that we point out in our manual and is actually fairly important. The seat post is inserted into the seat plate all the way, and that's where it needs to stay. The fixed seat clamp, or seat post clamp rather, again should have its gap aligned with the slot on the seat plate. If it for some reason gets shifted around or swiveled around this way, it's not going to exert the same clamping force as when the gaps are aligned. Also, if you frequently remove your seat from the seat yoke by twisting it back and forth, it's possible that over time the seat post loosens a little bit. Check from time to time. Kevin, I'm going to have you pan down a little bit. I'll remove the clamp so you can see it more easily. If you see a gap, for example, you see that the top of the seat post is visible through this gap, then you know that you absolutely need to loosen this clamp and firmly reinsert the seat post. You can use a plastic mallet if you need to, or a regular claw hammer and a piece of wood, a block of wood, so you don't mar the end of the seat post. I'm going to take this seat post out here for a second to illustrate misalignment on the yoke. And actually I'm going to have to loosen the set screw a little bit. If this clamp, and we've just recently seen one which was worn down and slid all the way to the base of this receiver and also misaligned with the gap, you're never going to exert the proper clamping force with your seat post in the yoke. The second you spin it around properly, and I'm probably have to adjust this a tiny bit to loosen it, the clamping force is much greater. That's a simple illustration of how that works. So again, you can't say it often enough, make sure that the gaps are aligned. The yoke clamps on the frame of the scooter don't have to align with any particular gap. There is no gap in the plastic bushings. Older scooters and the TravelScoot Deluxe Junior only have one clamp. It'll be on the right side, so don't let this confuse you. We added this by popular demand, even though it's almost overkill to have two clamps on the scooter. If everything is in good shape, one clamp is sufficient. You can lift the scooter by the yoke with the seat on it, no problem. Again, these clamps have little set screws, and you can, if these become loose, it's possible that the clamps rotate You should align the set screw with a little dimple in the bushing if you need to. It's also possible, this is plastic, and if you drill an 1/8 hole, not all the way through, but if you want to dimple it yourself to change the orientation for whatever reason, that is perfectly fine. This is not rocket science. These are friction clamps. The primary reason to have these set screws here is so you don't lose the clamps when you take the scooter apart and fold it. As an additional precaution, we always recommend that when you have the scooter together and folded, or rather apart and folded, that you close the yoke clamps just to help secure them from falling off. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us, 800-342-2214, or visit us at TravelScoot.com. And like us on Facebook, guys. Thank you very much. Happy scooting and have a great day.